Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you, and today we're going to do the most carried knives for February, March 2017. For those of you not familiar with this, I kind of do these every so often, just a video of what's been in my pocket the most often, and this grew out of an attempt to do my top 10 knives, and I've tried that multiple times, and it just never works because my favorite knives tend to sort of fluctuate a bit, and so instead I do, what's been in my pocket the most, sort of what's been my favorite knife for the past month or two, and so that's what this is going to be. I've got a few different knives here to show you. Before I get to that though, I want to ask you a question. Other than a knife, okay, other than a knife, what is your most commonly carried EDC item? I've got the two most common of my own right here. This is the Olight S Mini, and by the way, this is bar none my favorite EDC flashlight. I picked this up a little while ago, and I got to tell you that this almost always is on my person. It's just a great EDC flashlight. And this is the Zebra F402. This is actually not my most carried pen. I carry a 701 more often, but I do love the Zebra pens. They're just a great combination of affordability and quality. So I carry a pen with me all the time, and I have a ton of backups. I'm always afraid that I'm gonna run out of pens. So let's get those out of the way. But that's the question I have for you guys in the comments below. What is your most carried item other than a knife? Love to hear that from you down below. Now, the next thing that I want to show you is going to be a non-folder. This was very recently reviewed. This is the Rake Knives 815B, and this is a knife that I've actually carried quite a bit recently and really enjoyed it. So I wanted to get it in this video. Just out of fairness, this has been carried quite a bit, and so it really deserved to be in this video. Now let's finally get into the folders, and I've got a pretty wide range of folders. Let's start off with the Real Steel H6. This is, of course, a liner lock from Real Steel. Absolutely phenomenal knife, really well made. And if you're just looking for a great EDC folder in reasonably good materials that's well put together, there are few options out there better than this. It's a great knife, and for that reason I've carried it a whole lot. So Real Steel H6, and there's a different version, by the way, of the H6 that doesn't have the full flat ground blade that I also highly recommend. One other more budget-friendly knife, and that is the CRKT Jinks. This guy I've been carrying for review, and I've got to say it's a really nice knife. I've got quite a bit of use on it, and I'm quite happy with it. So that's been in my pocket quite often, and it's a rather enjoyable knife to carry and use. The blade steel could be upgraded a bit, but otherwise I don't have a whole lot of complaints. See the full review on this for everything else that you might want to know about it, or especially if you're interested in picking one up. Now let's get another new knife. This has yet to be reviewed. This is the Benchmade Freak, new for 2017, and I picked this up largely out of curiosity. It's a little bigger than a Griptilian and a little better blade shape, but it's certainly Griptilian-esque in its overall design. And so for that reason, I really wanted to try this because the Griptilian was a knife that I could almost love, but it wasn't quite there. It wasn't quite big enough for me, and I didn't really like the blade shapes that were available. So this knife comes along, and I feel like it deals with a lot of the problems that I had with the Griptilian. It's a little more comfortable. It feels a little nicer in hand. It doesn't feel as cheap, even though there is less steel. See if I can show you inside there. There's the liners, the steel liners on here are smaller than they are on the Griptilian, but it somehow yet feels just as solid, or maybe even more solid than the Griptilian. And I've got to tell you, I'm almost at the point of being ready to review this, and I am fairly happy with it. So it'll be generally a pretty positive review. So that's the Benchmade Freak. What else we got? Let's get another Benchmade before we get into some nicer stuff. Here is the Benchmade Contago. Now, some of you may have seen this knife before if you're subscribed to Dr. Frunky. If you're not subscribed to Dr. Frunky, you may want to go over and check him out. He's got a really cool channel. Lots of high-end knives. So he definitely has a slightly different focus than me. This would be one of the cheaper knives you'd see on his channel. Most of his stuff is going to be in the multiple hundreds range. So if you like that stuff, if you really like that knife porn, that eye candy, then go over and check them out. Anyway, this is the Benchmade Contago. I've had one of these before. Some of you may have seen that review. I really love the knife, and I ended up getting rid of it in a trade, but Dr. Frunke was talking about selling his, and I said, hey, if you're going to sell it, let me know and maybe I'd be interested. And sure enough, he did decide to ultimately sell it, and I was able to pick it up, and I'm quite happy that I was. Great knife, overbuilt, you know, big bad knife, nice big piece of M390 steel. This is the KnifeWorks exclusive version, of course, with the layered G10. And this is a great knife, especially if you're into large, hard use, heavy duty knives. Let's go to some flipper only knives now. This is the Lion Steel Kerr. Still loving this knife. I think this might have been in my last most carried video. It just gets carried a lot, so it makes sense that it gets mentioned more than once. I didn't go back and watch that video before making this one, but I now that I'm doing this, I think I may have mentioned this knife before. Anyway, great knife. It did have an issue with the detent ball coming out, but I sent it away to Italy. It was a long wait to get it back, and it is back, and I do really enjoy this knife. Nice and deep carry, extremely well built, love the blade shape. There's just many things that I really enjoy about the Lion Steel Kerr. Where do we go from here? Oh yeah, let's bring this guy out. This is the next step, I guess, in my journey. I got a Curtis F3 small a while back and was super stoked about that and absolutely loved it. I loved it so much that when this large came up on Dave's Knife of the Day, I went ahead and picked it up. I was able to, or I had a little extra PayPal balance, so I went ahead and paid just a little more to get the blue hardware. Whoops. And I'm really glad that I did that. I really enjoy the look of this knife. And this one does get carried a whole lot. That's one of the greatest things about these Curtis knives is they're knives that, you know, you can, although they're high end and they're really well made, you can really appreciate the quality and the precision that's involved. They're also knives that you can easily use and carry without being scared of hurting them in any way, because they're just really well put together. So there you go, Curtis F3 large. This one will be fully reviewed sometime in the next, I don't know, month or so. What else have we got here? Oh yeah, here's another really nice little flipper. This is the, again, recently reviewed Custom Knife Factory Morph. This is the Morph 4, and I actually think this is about the nicest version of the Morph. I've got to tell you, if you don't follow Preacher Customs on Instagram, you may want to do that. He does some beautiful work, and he works on a lot of Curtis's and a lot of other really nice knives. But he recently did a full modification on a Morph 4 that was absolutely spectacular. Really worth checking out. Anyway, this knife is actually for sale. So if you're watching this and interested, go ahead and shoot me an email, and we can talk about that. Let's see, what else have we got? Two more knives to show you. Let's go with the slightly plainer one first. Here is the Cold Steel 4max. This is another knife that I had to send away, and it's got a whole storied past. I got rid of it for a couple weeks and then got it back, and I was quite happy to get it back. So Cold Steel Code 4, absolutely great knife. Certainly one of my favorite cold steels. The quality is there. It's big, but it's a little understated. You know, it's not this gross sort of gaudy thing that sometimes cold steel does. It's just a really classy looking knife, and of course, it's probably the closest thing that I will ever have, and that many people will ever have, to an Andrew Demko custom. It's really nice. If you are a big Demko fan and you've always wanted to try, you know, an 8010 or something, this is a way to get very close to that without the $1,500 price tag. Let's see, one more, and this is a knife that probably should be in every most carried video, because this is a knife I always find myself going back to on a day where, you know, this knife just strikes a lot of balances. So it's extremely well made. Really nice steel, fantastic action, comfortable to carry. It's a little heavy for its size, but certainly not a problem. But what I like about this knife is its versatility. It's a beautiful knife. It absolutely looks like a gentleman's folder, while at the same time, it's very overbuilt. It's very sturdy and hard, and can really do some hard use if you need it to. So I love to carry this knife on those days where you know, I don't know, you know, I'm maybe wearing something a little nicer. Maybe I'm preaching that day or speaking or going to a conference. I can carry this in a pair of dress pants and it looks very classy. But at the same time, if I go out for a hike in the woods after and I want to carve up some sticks to roast wieners, this has got it covered as well. So just a really, really nice, really versatile knife. And honestly, this is still to date my favorite Rheatt knife. I like this more than just about anything else they've done. Yeah, I honestly do think even the newer stuff that's come out, I just have not been as into it as this. This is definitely my favorite Rheatt. There you go, guys. That's what's been in my pocket the most. Let's see if I can get them all in frame here. This doesn't always work. Sorry about that, something in my eye. Let's pull them all in for one last shot and then we'll call it a day. So let's see, is there room for the Formax down here? Not really, but part of it can fit in, such a big knife. I don't know. There we go. Something like that. I think that's pretty much all the knives I showed you. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment with whatever you carry in addition to a knife the most often. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we will talk to you soon.